Hello and welcome. So today we are going to be adding and removing um, portions of the image. So we're going to get rid of one of these sheep and we're going to add a sheep. And yeah, so with this one, we can take away or we can add more sheep here or take away. It doesn't matter, but we're definitely going to take away some sheep here. So let's start off with the easiest way to do this. We're going to be focusing in mostly on the content aware tool, but we're also going to learn a few other um, useful tools like the lasso tool. Lasso tool allows you to just select free-handed or free-handedly select um, anything you want to select. Now, because we have a background layer, I can just press delete and this will pop up. Now, what I want to do is make sure it's on content aware, because what I'm about to do is um, automatically get rid of the whatever I have selected. And what it does is it fills it in with similar pixels that are around that image. So if I go in here and grab all of these sheep all at once, I can do the exact same thing, but the more you take up, you see it's kind of it kind of you can kind of tell a little bit. I'm pretty sure some people might not be able to tell, but you know, I can tell right there that that was done. So what if I wanted to do this in a non-destructive way, which would allow me to bring all the sheep back anytime I wanted to? So if I wanted to do that, then first I would, instead of, you know, hold on, excuse me, or on top of that, let's say this wasn't a background layer. If this wasn't a background layer, what would happen when I select this and press delete? This would happen, which is bad. So the non-destructive way of doing this while you have a layer, just a regular layer, not a background, not locked or anything, um, is you can make your selection. And this time, instead of using the lasso tool, I'll use the rectangular marquee tool, and I'll just select these random sheep. And now I'm going to go to edit, and from edit I'll go to content aware field. Now this pops up and it's showing me, it's giving me a preview of what it's going to look like once it makes it disappear. So right now it looks pretty seamless, like you can't really tell that they're there. Now the output is what we're looking at right here, is output to a new layer. So what that means is, now let's press OK. So what that means is they created a new layer on top of our bottom layer that basically just covers that up. So if I wanted to ever get my sheet back, all I would have to do is just hide this layer. So I can do that several times. It's best to do it multiple times instead of just trying to grab all at once like you saw before, because the larger the space, and especially if the space has big differences in the background, um, then you'll notice that something's not right about that area on the picture. Now let's go here. If I wanted to make more sheep because these little two sheep are lonely, then what I would do is select this. But before I continue, and I'm just going to get close to this back of the sheep. Why? Mainly because of the background. The background is a lot different at the top of his body than the bottom. So I want to focus on the grass, because if I grab up here, then it'll make the selection look a little rough when I move it. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you the bad way afterwards. So let's say I have this selected and I go to my content aware tool, which normally you'll see this tool here, but what you'll do is hold it down and go down to content aware. Now on this one, instead of move, I'm going to go to extend. So now all I have to do is just grab this and extend it where I want it to be. And I can just drop him or her right there, press enter, and press Command D to deselect, and voila. Now what if I would have selected all of this over here? Then what would happen is this. You see this area right here? It doesn't fit. It doesn't look right. Also my perspective, well my perspective is off. If I'm going to move him at that point, I would also need to scale him. So I would select this, and while this is selected, I have the ability to scale it. But yeah, I would scale it maybe even just a little bit more. But because that selection is so bad, I wouldn't be able to do that. So let's go back to this selection, and let's grab this and let's scale this one up. And let's see how that looks. And let's see if you guys will be able to tell that this one is a duplicate. Command D to deselect. And yes, I can tell a little bit only because the blurriness right here. So if I wanted to, there are some techniques that I could use to fix that. One of those techniques is to use the patch tool. The patch tool works a lot like the clone stamp tool, where with the clone stamp tool you pick a selection, and then you can repaint that selection anywhere. But with the patch tool, it has the same concept, but when I select this area, well, I'm sorry, let me just grab this area. If I select this area, I can drag from the middle here to an area that I want it to kind of look like, but instead of copying exactly, it'll merge the two and blend it and make it more like the other area. So now we're starting to see that it's, it's starting to look a little bit more natural, or more believable rather. Yeah, like that. So let's say I was like, okay, I like this sheep, but I don't like where he's positioned. And now he looks as if he could, somebody might be able to tell that they're copies. So what I could do is I could select this, go back to my content aware tool, and instead of extend, I can go to move. And I could actually start to move them, but I can also right click and then let's flip them horizontally and have them facing this way. And I'm gonna try to line them up in the back with the background as best I can so it still looks pretty natural. And press enter. And what that does is this. Now, this little area is not too bad. You can tell by this line right here that something's not right. So to fix that, I would just go to my spot healing brush. I might increase the size a little bit, and let's clean that up. But because it's not that much, it's easier to fix something that small. It's still there. So if it's still there, then I'll go back to the patch tool and kind of play around with this a little bit. Yeah, there we go. But as you can see, it's best to get as close to the subject as possible, because the more of the background that you select, the more likely it's going to be there are going to be mistakes somewhere in there. All right, so yeah, that's the content aware tool and the patch tool and the lasso and the rectangular marquee tools all together. So yeah, so there's two ways to use the content aware. You can just go to the content aware. You can use the move mode. Oops, normally this is there by default, but I moved it earlier. Sorry about that. You can have the move tool and extend. So extend um, actually duplicates whatever you create, while the move just moves whatever's there. And um, yeah, so you saw what it did. No need for me to try to explain too much. All right, so I can show you better than I can tell you. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's say if I wanted to move these. Oops, let's get a better selection. Or let's say I wanted to move these from here just over there. Oh yeah, let's make sure I'm in the right layer. I can just grab these, move them slightly over, and there you go. Or let's say if I wanted to just really get dangerous with it and move these from here. Ah, I found a, um, a flaw right here. This is our layer peeking out. Let's hide that. Whoa, something just happened. Let's undo. I see what happened. When I went to hide the other layer, it went ahead and moved it for me. I didn't want it to do that. Alright, so let's go ahead and hide the layer first. Let's move. Oops. Make sure content aware tool is selected. And let's move this over here. Press enter. There we go. And yeah. So yeah, just have some fun with that and use it when you need it. But don't do stuff like this and make your perspective off, because that looks like a really, really tiny goat, sheep, lamb thing. But anyway, that's it. I hope this helps, and I will see you guys next time.